Hi everyone. Hey there. I, as always, want to check and make sure you can actually hear me since I feel like half of my episodes have had audio problems right off the bat. But, presuming that there's no weird echo and I can't actually hear me and hopefully you actually can hear the music and not at the wrong level, then I think maybe we are ready to start. As always, it is so awesome to see you. I am Jess, she, her. You are awesome, and this is The Builder's Block, one of the many amazing shows here on the Transverse Network. If you're not familiar, if you haven't encountered here before, the whole idea of this show is that we have a bunch of different builders who get to show off what they do to you, the viewer. We have Emily, who does Star Wars droids, custom painted and crafted Star Wars droids, which are awesome. We have Rosa, who puts together amazing little mecha kits that you get to see her. And then we have me doing Lego things. We take turns doing different shows. Generally, one of us in a row each week, though sometimes we flip it up like we did in the last 2 weeks. But you'll come across us getting to share our building process, what we make, what we do, what we love about it. And hopefully you'll get to get something out of that. You can learn a technique. You can see something you like. And you can just chat with us as we get to share our creations with you and see what you're up to. And great, thank you, Ashley. I'm glad I sound good. I'm gonna make a little adjustment here. I have a window above here with the chat, but it's a little too tall, so I didn't see your text at first. So I'm gonna try to adjust it with the very crummy mouse that is with this. Oh, I have a mouse here. Hey, this is much better. All right, and we pull it down and boom, line of sight. I can see you, I can see your messages. This is gonna be great. Awesome. All right, well, so I mentioned this is all about building stuff, but your hosts on this show are all trans people. And that's one of the cool things about the Transverse Network is we get to show you the wide variety that is all of the wonderful people who might happen to be trans, but we also get an opportunity to touch on those topics and to offer a place for people to have voices for different shows who are in the trans community and share out to the world at large. And among the shows, in addition to Builder's Block, we also have a Quarantine Kitchen on Mondays with Billy. I believe tomorrow, still with Genevieve, is her amazing show. How do I always forget this? After Dark? If you're there, Jeannie, please tell me because I always screw up your name. I have another thing in my head, and I know it's not right, and then my brain can't get over to the right name. A great show talking about more adult topics that happens on the day after this show, typically. And then we also have Valkyries on Friday, which is often people getting to share and show gaming and just having a good time and hanging out. On Tuesdays, after Quarantine Kitchen on Monday, I should have done these in order, but that's right. On Tuesdays, we have the Transgender Show, which is sort of the original flagship show of this network, where Emily, who also contributes to Builder's Block, gets to interview amazing people who touch on different aspects of the trans universe and the trans experience. And then we loop back around to another episode of Builder's Block. All right. That's the network spiel. We've done the show spiel. Now we get into the me spiel. So why am I here? Why am I worth watching? Hopefully you are a return viewer, but if you are new and you haven't encountered me before, I am Jess, as I mentioned. And I love Legos. I know a lot of us do. A lot of us love Lego bricks. And I should say Lego bricks because Lego is an adjective, not a noun. But it's something that a lot of us love and I've always enjoyed. And I've gotten to build a number of things over the years, amping up into increasingly custom creations, things of my own design. And I do love that and expressing that creativity, which I see as a way to sublimate a midlife crisis in architecture by filling it with Lego building. Hopefully it's not a cheap hobby, but hopefully less expensive than restarting a new career. And so along those lines, why I hopefully am worth listening to about Lego is some of the things I've gotten to build in the past and some of the things I'll hopefully get to show you here. And a normal way I do this is, in addition to actually building, and we'll do some actual building on this show, I promise, I also take a moment to take a step back and share something I built in the past. Because some of my creations are quite large, they can be quite involved, they can take quite a long time to put together, more time than we would have on any one show. So I want to take the opportunity to kind of walk through something in the past. So even if we can't necessarily build something as large right here on stream together, I can at least share what I've done in the past, and you can get insight into what I'm capable of, and perhaps why I'm worth paying attention to as we go through all this. Without further ado, we can jump right into that, unless there's any thoughts, reactions, or questions. But you can always jump into the chat. I will try to monitor, try to respond as quickly as I can if you do. And if you don't know how to get into the chat, if you haven't done that before, you can sign up for an account on Twitch. It's free. And not only is it free, but if you have Amazon Prime, you actually get a free Prime Gaming account, because Amazon owns Twitch. And you can even do something like follow or even subscribe a month at a time for free to one account with your Prime Gaming account. So just a thought, if you haven't used that before or haven't subscribed before, you can subscribe right here to the Transverse Network and help support the channel. All right, into things I've made in the past. So this is something where I did want to get a little bit of your thoughts and your insight on what you might want to see, because there's several things I can show you. A few I have queued up here. But I wanted to see if you had any preference on what I walk through. Of course, I will just pick one if you don't want, but some of the options to choose from that I could walk through are... Oh, and I have to move my mouse over to the right monitor. Get to monitor 1 behind me. This always takes a surprisingly long time to move my mouse to the correct monitor. There it is. All right. So, option 1. So this is a list of a lot of things I built in the past, but we are going to potentially look at, it's going back up, a modular Lego hospital / outpatient center that I built. So option 1, hospital. Option 2, coffee shop. And it's not just a coffee shop, that's on the first floor. There's also 3 apartments above it. So hospital, coffee shop, pharmacy. Again, similar thing, pharmacy in the bottom, apartment up above, police station, and bookstore / office and house. It's a couple in one in this particular creation. So, in the chat, if you're willing, I'll give you a second to think about it while I take a sip of a drink, but let me know if you have a preference to look at any one of those, and that's what we'll go through tonight. I'll save the rest for another time, or if I build too fast, we can go back to it at the end. But let me know, if you don't mind, in the chat, if you have a preference there. And if not, then I'll just pick one at random. All right, here's it. Why you think? We have a single vote so far. It is a very compelling vote on a variety of levels, not least because it is first, so solid. All right, there's a few more of you out there, though I don't know if you're necessarily in chat. So we'll give a few more seconds. Oh, Torben with a follow-up to Ashley. So it's going to be very difficult to beat this. Like, we have to have clearly several more people suddenly appearing and talking in chat to change it off of hospital. Oh, Emily with a third. That is, I mean, at this point, let's face it, unless 4 other people watching, because I think we're at 7 at the moment, which is lovely, and of course wonderful that any of you watch it all. But they'd have to all unanimously vote for something else. So I think we can call it. I think we can call this hospital. We're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to close out. Boop, 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 boop. Back to the hospital. Okay. That was a loud clap. So this is a thought when I approach buildings, and it's even sort of an overarching thing of what the heck I build anyway. Almost everything I build is in the town universe. So there's lots of different themes that LEGO has, and I enjoy a lot of them, and I've done spaceships and pirate ships and all kinds of other things in the past. But my heart always goes back to what I started with, which was town, or world, or city, any of the various overlapping themes that they've had over the years. And in my head, when I would imagine building something big, I would always picture going crazy with the building. That I could build an enormous office tower. I would build a full-size 2-scale hospital, all kinds of things like that. All these different ambitions, which were fun to imagine, but wildly out of reach in both time, resources, and cost. It could get particularly expensive to buy tons of the same kind of brick very quickly. And so all of those imaginings of what I could construct and what I could develop remained in the world of fantasy until Lego came out with Cafe Corner Lego set. And I know many of you have heard this before, so apologies for the repetition. But the Cafe Corner Lego set was a standard, what we often call, you'll hear modular sometimes in other Lego adult fan communities, that the modular set and standard is a new common way to build a lot of your buildings. And by modular, it's not just that the buildings open up and the floors lift off and you can get inside the buildings, but they also can click together. They can all connect together. And so multiple people can build buildings entirely isolated from each other. But when you bring them together, if they build to the modular standard, all the buildings just go right together. The sidewalks line up, the alignments line up, it's perfect. And it not only helps in that you can do giant cities with bunches of people and not have to worry about them fitting together, it also allows for a bit of control and scale that's far more doable. And so for me, having the scale for a modular building suddenly became a much more rational and achievable goal in constructing my own custom Lego buildings. And it really reignited my building custom buildings. And John, I'm very glad that you wanted hospital, because you would have been very disappointed if you had not caught it earlier. Or if you had chosen something different, rather. Okay, so in AI, I started that long description of modulars with half of a sentence. And what I was starting to say was, I call this a hospital / outpatient center because of that very desire to be as realistic as I can building my Lego models. I'm obviously building to the minifig scale, but I like my buildings to have things like elevators and stairwells and bathrooms and other things that might get left out of a traditional Lego set or the earlier Lego sets because they weren't as necessarily play oriented, whereas I'm trying to build my own little craft world. And so with that spirit, any building I was going to build, as large as it could get as a Lego hospital, was really not going to be, a 500 bed hospital. That was way outside of my capabilities, and more importantly, my supply of Lego. Despite the fact that I have a whole closet of unsorted Lego, I was still not going to be pulling it off. So I call it outpatient center, because I like to think it really is more outpatient, light surgery center, maybe a bit of urgent care thrown in. This is not a full-on hospital. Way over-explained. Let's take a look at it, shall we? All right. So we can zoom in. Woo! All right. Here is top to bottom my outpatient center / hospital thingy. Oh, I just turned off a light with the bump. Boop, there we go. Now, not only did I build the building, I also built a custom ambulance and a custom helicopter, and I'll show you those as well. But that was kind of a fun little experiment to go along with it, and to try to match the branding by using these official Lego stickers to kind of go along with the building. So we can, I believe, navigate to the right, can't I? Some of the hard things when things are a little bit covered up by my own window. Okay, I sworn you could just click to the right. Why is it not clicking to the right? Alright, we'll work on that. It might be a little bit more laborious, but that's okay. This is just another angle not only of the building, but I think it actually is an earlier stage of the building. Let me go back and check this. Yes, you can see how wide the building is here. Before I went that wide, I actually built the building shorter. I did it just 1.5 base plates. So a standard size for our Lego set that we all kind of knew growing up was a single base plate, which is 10 inches by 10 inches. And that was the original size of the very first modular building. I started to build, some are narrower. They're 16 studs wide, 5 by 10 base plate, a half base plate. And so I started here with this building thinking it needed to be bigger. I started it at 1.5 base plates. That did not last long. I realized that was still too small for what I envisioned, and so I ended up going another half base plate and make it an L shape to do the full building. But before I did that, I had this version of it that I built that was a little bit smaller. All right, it's surprisingly irking me that I can't just click next. Ooh, did I just do it? No, I don't know what the heck I did. Again, it's the problem when I'm my head is over top of that for me in this view. So I'm going to briefly turn around and look at it on the monitor behind me. where it actually is. Stay there. I don't know. I could have sworn I used to be able to advance this. That is going to bug the crap out of me. Alright, sorry, and you can't hear me. I know I turn around. I guess I just got to clicking back and next, which seems very, very inefficient. And I apologize. I'm not wrong, right? Like I used to be able to just click like a button on the right and it would advance. Why is this not happening? What simple thing am I missing? What simple thing am I missing? Because I've done this in previous shows. This is going to bug me. That's okay. You actually want to see things. I'm actually going to show them to you and not whine about how easy it is to navigate. So here is another shot from this side of the hospital. And just some things to note, like I made little stickers. I didn't make the stickers. I found official Lego stickers. I applied to the windows. So the top floor does have some blinds. Can be a little privacy there on the top level. This whole section, which I thought was cool, how I made the building, the entrance be at an angle. So it really could be off of the corner direct into the building. That was not easy to do, to connect it and have it actually attached to the building and be at that angle. But so I was very proud I was able to pull it off. We have the ambulance emergency bay there. Yeah. And then I'm going to just keep clicking over to the right, even though it does nothing. I'm going to just, part of me is like, at some point magically it's going to suddenly advance to the next picture. Like it used to. Alright. I guess this is good. It'll make me be more selective. You don't have to see every freaking single picture. I will note in the very next one just how close it came to make it so the ambulance could actually fit into this building. I arguably cut it a little bit close because I didn't build the ambulance until after I built the building. So it was a near thing to get it in there. Alright, that was back when it was shorter. Oh, here is again when it was narrower, but also again to show off that modular standard. Here's this bar, and here's my courthouse, which I showed, I think last week. Or not last week, last show. You can see how they all just seem to seamlessly line right up there, thanks to following that modular standard. And so this is back when I had a very narrow ambulance bay, and yeah, this really couldn't fit in there, and that's part of what caused me to expand the whole building and properly fit the ambulance in there. All right, so the entrance. I didn't realize how many of these pictures I had in the old thing. Now you can see just how impossible of a fit it was. I couldn't even back it in past the side view mirrors or windows. Yeah, and then it was a narrower ambulance. I rebuilt the ambulance to be the actual width I wanted it to be after that. So now we have this nice giant ambulance bay. And when it pulls out, there are other things. There's a little toolbox in there, directions on what floor to take people to, whether you're bringing in a patient or an organ or some other thing for the lab, a little firebox and other kinds of things. And not only the main double doors, which did kind of flap open into the hospital, but also a little side entrance over here as well, which you'll see in more detail. And I'll remember what the heck is over there in a minute. And of course, outside, a good old bus stop. And public phone and newspaper stand. Because you gotta do stuff while you wait. Alrighty. So this has the original layout looking down at the first floor. So this is again before I expanded it. I expanded. Yeah, I guess I was right. Expanded it. I had the narrow little ambulance bay. And a single door to get someone into the hospital, which would not have been easy on a stretcher or to make these corners. And so definitely it got to be a lot more comfortable when I blew it out. But this is just another top-down view of that particular angle. It is gonna... I'm sorry, I keep obsessing about this thing. I need to let it go, but I can't advance to the next picture from the picture. Okay. Here it is, the new first floor rebuilt to be wider. And so not only do we have still the entrance coming in at an angle and a little waiting room there and a stairwell going up, we also have, I believe, a generator, emergency generator and trash cans, dumpsters for the building, a little closet with spare stretchers and a couple other supplies, and then the actual double doors that take you in to the hospital. And you can see these little green lines and red lines. I'll show those elsewhere, but those are lines to take you to the patient's floor or the lab. And so in this case, they're taking you from the entrance directly to the elevator so they can take people up to the appropriate floor. Here, there's a little window off of the entrance where you have one of the nurses kind of helping check people in and have some of their records. Off over here is an office, a little bookshelf on the side. These are, I believe, the regular doctor's offices. So if you're just coming in for a little urgent care check or other conversation, that's going to be on the first floor. You don't have to go upstairs. You don't have to take an elevator. So there's a nurse coming out to call someone back, someone else in line at that window underneath the stairs. I think it looks like there's like a little newspaper stand underneath the stairs. I forgot I did that. That's pretty cool. So other angles are the same, which would be easier to navigate through. If I could just click. All right, I'm going to briefly pause. How do I go to the next picture in a Flickr gallery? I'm going to be done with this. All right, click a photo. I want to add it. I want to navigate. That's not it. All right. Navigate. You want to be pedantic? I'll be pedantic. Organize. That is not. View in a slideshow. All right. All right. Now said the narrow keys. Go to the album you like to see. Click the slideshow icon. My goodness. All right. You put up with a lot from me. I recognize that. But hopefully now it's going to pay off. Where on earth is the slideshow icon? All right, I'm going to turn around again. I'm sorry, by the way. Thank you for your patience. I hope this is okay as I slowly figure this out. All right, this is getting a little anticlimactic here. I feel like I'm being penalized. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. All right, I guess we'll let that think. I'll go back to navigating directly. There's no better sign of a stream if you just show a blank window and a spinning icon. I think that's peak right there. I'm glad you got to enjoy that with me. All right, here's looking down into the administrator. So people are checking out. There's some files, cabinets, little tiny room there. Poor person has to sit in. And looking down at one of the exam rooms, one of the doctor's offices. So there's a doctor talking to a couple people, letting them know about results or something. As you go down the hall, that's the scale. You can get weight on, see what you're up to or down to. And then there's also an exam room. So in addition to the doctor's office where they'd have maybe a more formal conversation, there's also a couple exam rooms. And so there's a little stool, reclining bench, some cabinets, a little teeny tiny exam room in this teeny tiny outpatient center. And that's one of them. The other one has an actual nurse with a syringe giving a shot to somebody. Maybe being vaccinated. Why not? This was done years ago, but we're going to retcon that, getting their COVID vaccine right there. I don't know where they're getting it from, but someone. All right, original ambulance bay. You can see how tight that was. The ambulance itself had to be 6 studs wide, which is a typical width of a Lego car. But I wanted it to be wider. I ended up building it to be 7 studs wide. I was only able to do it after I expanded the ambulance bay to the full double width after that. that change. And so that's where you have this open bay, a couple. Oh, that's right. It's gas canisters and a dumpster, an opening dumpster. So that was kind of nifty that I was able to do that after I decided to expand the building. And also let me do these nice double swinging doors into the hospital and being able to follow the lines straight to the elevator, take people up to the OR. They're there for outpatient surgery. So there's where it was the first time when it was a narrower building, and then now the bigger entrance now that it's wider. And also let me build, as I mentioned, that little spare supply room with, I guess, a power saw in a box and some fire extinguishers and stretchers. Cool, cool. All right, this is a glimpse into the elevator, and this little notch is a way that the elevator can be lifted from the outside of the building and moved up and down between the floors, and how they can rest at a particular floor. So a little bit of manual control. I see arrows. I see where? Okay, I'm going with it. Arrows magically appeared. That's wonderful, and we're sticking with it. All right, so now we can click through. This is, so I think that's the first floor. So you got a full tour of the first floor, both its pre and post expansion looks. Same deal now with the second floor. You came up the stairs. Back before I expanded the building, you would come up the stairs. There's a little person waiting to greet you here on this little OR floor, where you have a prep room. People can scrub up. They have other little things, and then an actual operating theater. The elevator down taking you up from the ambulance bay, red taking you to the OR, green taking you to the lab. And we had this narrow little lab. I was pausing because for a second I was like, it was a pharmacy, but no, I think it's a lab. So that was the first version. This is the new expanded version. So when I made the building wider, it let me go much crazier on the lab and much more roomy and useful. So we still have that little side room to prepare and get supplies and scrub up, and you still have the OR where someone is, I think, getting a heart transplant. I think that's a little heart in the bucket there. This is very heavy duty outpatient surgery here amongst this particular building. Little security camera with the course focused right on the door to the lab here, where a little dude with a couple beakers apparently fell on his side, and then several people working at different banks of stations, and even a little chute here where you can drop waste, and that goes right over top of the dumpster down below in the parking garage, so you can get rid of that medical waste, and then other banks of things in storage places and working tables. So I was very proud of the new expanded lab. So again, looking down at the lobby, which also I thought was just a really cool look, and able to create it, the coming in from the front door at an angle and going up the stairs, and you can go right around and keep on going up, or get off on this floor. Keep going on. Just a little slight check-in. Things okay out there? Things all right? Volume and especially now that I can navigate. Or not that you have to say anything, but I guess let me know if there's anything awry. Alright, clicking on. There's the super teeny tiny lab and a guy hanging off an organ that was just rushed there in the helicopter. And now, of course, the much more comfortable lab to operate in. I stood that guy back up. That's good. I have a giant rack of different compounds and things. Maybe it's a compounding pharmacy. I have no idea. I had a whole thing in my head. But it is actually in part of pharmacy. So in there behind the glass, you can see little faint orange things. Those were what I actually made translucent little pill bottles, white tops and orange bottoms, just like you can get the your typical see-through pill bottle. That's a rack of locked behind the glass case pill bottles there. No Pyxis med station, sadly, in this particular facility, for those of you who might be in the medical industry and know that. No, look, a little centrifuge there. That's the idea, at least with that little thing. Someone mixing up some compounds, different stands to hold that particular beaker over a little Bunsen burner. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, kind of going a little nuts and creative on what I thought could look lab-ish in the course of it. which wasn't something I've really done before. So that was a neat experiment and creation. And here you can get a better look at those pill bottles and a little sink and the centrifuge over here in the corner. So I was really happy with this lab. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Appreciate that check-in response. Oh yeah, there's looking down at the trash chute, which you can open up, dump your biohazardous waste straight into the dumpster, which I'm sure is not supposed to happen, but it was still a fun thing to create and make happen there. There's the original pharmacy and new pharmacy. Oh, and that's just worth noting. So if you do want to go to the pharmacy, you don't have to go into the lab. You don't have to go around the corner. You can also just go up right up to the window, and there's a little slot that passes through the wall, and the nurse can give you the prescription while keeping it locked inside the lab/pharmacy area. So a little bit of security there on your drugs. And there's the camera pointing at not only the door to the lab, which has a lock and insignia, but also around the corner there is where the pharmacy is accessible. So they'll see it coming and going. And there's through the pharmacy window at the handoff. Before, when it was a narrower lab, and now the wider lab. See, there's the camera going there and seeing, the camera's here pointing at both. So I was proud of how I incorporated that security into that experience. And here on the second floor is where the elevator is. So that's why you can't see down the shaft. That's actually the top of the elevator, and it's resting right there on a little pin. So you can keep the elevator with any floor as you lift off or put on the floors. And it actually does slide up and down the building if you want to do that. Hey, thank you, the unfortunate one, for choosing to follow here on the Transverse Network. You made a great decision. You will not only get to see Builder's Block and me and the other creators from Builder's Block, but so many other awesome shows. So thank you so much for the follow. Very much appreciate it. And great to have you here. All right. This is the prep room, the scrub room off the side. I did do a Pixis machine. I'm sorry. So I used to work for a company called Cardinal Health, and they did a bunch of automated machines. Guess who? All right, so some broader context. I have a guess on who this is. I don't know for sure, but it's maybe the person who's sitting on my couch right now. So I have a friend who came in town from Memphis, Tennessee, to do a couple things here in the city. And so while she's here, she's crashing here. Hey, I guessed correctly. And so good old Mallory is out there. I told her one of the conditions of staying here, after I realized the fact that while she was here, I was going to be streaming, is that one night she's going to be kicked out of her bedroom because I had the inflatable mattress right here where I'm currently sitting. It's stood up behind the monitor right now. We'll come back later, but she has to stay up until I finish streaming and sit on the couch. And while she's out there in the living room, she also had to get an account, and she had to sign in, and she had to follow and watch and converse. So you made a good decision, even though you were kind of bullied into it. Thank you for joining. So, hey, Jill. Hi there. Awesome. Well, more people to talk to. That's great. If you hadn't seen it before, we are diving through this Lego hospital that I built in the past. And we just got to the supply room / prep room for surgery. And as I was mentioning, I used to work for a company called Cardinal Health. It's not only one of the largest distributors of pharmaceuticals in the country. It's a $91 billion company. That's what it was at least a couple years ago. It also, at the time I worked there, not only distributed medical supplies, also manufactured them. We were the largest manufacturer of rubber gloves. We made surgical instruments. And we also bought a very cool company called Pixis that had automated systems. And I really thought those were fascinating. I actually was a tour guide for some of they had a little traveling bus, and when we would come to our headquarters, I would go on and be a tour guide of the bus and show off the different equipment. But it was a fascinating way to do smart inventory and supply of all these very valuable things, from scrubs to pharmaceuticals to medical supplies. And like, if you had this locked cabinet with your medicines, you could go up and type in a password and do a thumbprint, like a BioID or something, some other method of checking to confirm that you're supposed to be able to get in there. You type in which patient and what they're supposed to get and when, and it would open up and unlock a particular little cabinet in a particular little drawer, and there's the medicine that you need. You take it out. If it gets below a threshold, it sends back an order automatically to get refilled. And it's also a great paper trail for who gets what when. because it's not like someone couldn't do something wrong or couldn't break in there, but now there would be a record to know who logged into that machine, what times they did, and what they asked for, and check against levels. And they actually caught a nurse who murdered several patients by deliberately giving them the wrong medication. They were able to, they kept moving from hospital to hospital when everyone got suspicious. And it was because of a Pyxis med station that they were able to confirm and narrow down the suspect pool and find the person and then arrest them. So that's a smile at that kind of sad story, but I thought that was a fascinating thing. And so, of course, when I built my own hospital, even though I had moved on from Cardinal Health, I still had to build in one of their automated machines. And so that's the top of that machine right there is something. I forget if it's a supply station where you can get general medical supplies, or if it's a scrub station where you can get your scrubs. I was even on an episode of Scrubs, or what it is, but it's one of those. I know it is. I remember it now. I even know what it is. That is a scrub station. See how there's the blue there, and there's this little hole up here? So down here would be a locked cabinet of fresh scrubs. And as a doctor or any other healthcare professional, you would go in and you would collect your scrubs, or when they were dirty, you would throw them in the top and they would get accepted in there. And that's a big deal. Some scrubs can be quite expensive. They can be hard to track sometimes or follow. And there's even some hospitals where nurses would know something would stock out. They'd run out of something. They'd start stashing extra supplies, extra scrubs, extra Band-Aids, syringes, all kinds of stuff in ceiling tiles or in other kinds of nooks and crannies where they know they could get their own supply from. And there's one hospital where they hit a broom against the ceiling and a ceiling panel came down and $300,000 worth of medical supplies were stored up there in the ceiling. And it's not because anyone was stealing it, it's because they didn't want it to run out, and so they created their own stashes. With machines like the scrub station, you never had to worry that you weren't tracking and automatically replenishing all of your supplies. And since it was featured on an episode of Scrubs, I built my own scrub station right here in my own outpatient center. So there you go. That's what that's about. Sorry, you got a whole lot of random lectures and insights into this. Yeah, all right. Moving on. There's someone scrubbing up there. You can see through the window into the OR, so they can see how things are going while they prep and get themselves all ready to do surgery. And then you pass out, and of course, once you clean your hands and put on your gloves, you can't touch anything. So you have to be able to back into that door and keep yourself sterile as you enter into the operating room. And there it is in the OR. There's a doctor, nurse, all kinds of people prepared instruments, a sterilizer to sterilize the instruments so they can be ready to be reused, x-rays on the wall, bands of lights. That's a Alaris. Oh, I used to know the names of all these things. MedGuard? Guardrails? I don't remember. But yes, it's a bone saw battery. The company I worked for I used to work for also used to make that. So that's why I could. There's the thing that's on the IV stand that monitors and automatically regulates the flow. That's an Alaris pump, which we bought right after Pyxis, merged them together, and then spun it off. And now it's BD Healthcare. I forget. No, CareFusion. I think it's CareFusion. I don't know. 80 billion acquisitions later. Yeah, so here's the OR. Again, I was kind of happy with, for all that this is probably far smaller and not necessarily something you'd have in a building actually of this size, I was proud of how I managed to kind of pull it off and make it. And sorry, my nose is itchy, that's why I keep doing that. What I thought was cool. That was a surprisingly decent picture of that. All right, yeah, there's a little sterilizer and other kinds of things. Fresh, I think, drapes and gowns versus the sterilizer for tools. I'm not really sure. I don't quite remember that, but that was cool. Oh, and yes, I tilted up the lights to show that I did have little silver things for those lights focusing down on the guy in the OR who has an oxygen mask attached to the anesthesia station. I forgot I did that. That's cool. There's the x-rays. Here's the anesthesia station administering and keeping him under while he undergoes, or she undergoes surgery. Wow, I forgot all the details I put into this. That's great. This is the next floor. I guess it's essentially the top floor. There's also the roof, so I'm randomly hesitating. But yeah, we'll walk through this. But this was the narrow version before I expanded it. So you had another little waiting area. Excuse me, little bathroom. and then some other machines up here. I think this was a recovery area here, and this was an MRI, or no, X-ray room. And then I added an MRI when I expanded the building. So there's the MRI room now behind the much wider waiting area for patients or people waiting for their loved ones who are in recovery. And so, yeah, I think just another angle of that floor. So yeah, this is the expanded space to have the MRI. I was kind of proud I managed to find the pieces to give that sort of curved look. And if you don't know about magnetic resonance imaging, it is where they use magnets to basically study your insides. And because they're magnets, you can't take any metal into that room. It can be quite catastrophic and not only very painful and damaging to people, it's incredibly damaging to machinery because those things are intensely expensive. And honestly, I don't know if you'd actually have it on the third floor because heaviness-wise, it probably wouldn't go up there. But it's what I had when I built it and expanded it, so that's where it went. Alrighty. Right, so back here in the room is where people look and study the machines and see the results of the imaging as it comes through. A little panel to do it. Wow. I apparently found a piece that actually looks like an MRI. It's actually like scanning a person there. I didn't even know that existed. I remember that existed. That's great. That's crazy. I'm sorry. I'm like reverse impressed with myself years after seeing this. That was pretty cool. So back into the MRI room, the lounge waiting area, nice little carpet there. I was happy with that, how that came out. And a little cabinet, which I think this got wider. I think that's a narrow version of it. Wow, is that it? That might be it for the album. Come on back to album. Wow, that gallery never loaded. That's crazy. Right, I'm just trying to see it. I feel like it just froze on me. Alright, I don't know what's up. We're gonna pause for a little second here while it decides if it likes me and wants to load. Alright. Apparently it just decided to freeze right there. That's okay. Keeps it fun. Grandfather clock on the top floor for no reason other than to fill a gap. And some flowers. Here's a little recovery room, so now this person's all done and recovered, and there's all the machinery that they'll be connected to, and a little TV that they can watch while they sit there. I think this is this patient station. This is also, here's the nurse holding their chart and giving them their prescription. Full service in this particular recovery room. Yep. Looking outside, see the ambulance, and here's the X-ray. So they're wearing a lead apron there. While the X-ray machine's over top about to do whatever it's going to do, and the guy records the images. And apparently I had another sticker that was like dead on for that. That's crazy. Yeah, I even had the little handles right when they adjust it over top of you and position it. Cool, and looking down the elevator shaft down there to the floor below. And so now finally to the roof and the place where the helicopter arrives to take people inside, and also the cool little sunroom and angled windows over top of the recovery room, which I thought was a neat little touch. But obviously after expanding the roof, a lot more roomy, a lot easier to fit a helicopter up there. So here's some fuel tanks, helicopter landing pad, and there's a guy running with an organ, just got off the elevator, running up to the elevator, as well as AC and a couple other bric-a-brac there on the roof. The elevator does continue all the way up there to the roof. That's the top view. There's the generator, a little high voltage warning, and AC units, and a satellite dish, I guess. The look down that sort of tower that has the recovery room, and then the OR, and then the doctor's office, proceeding down the building. And yeah, a little ramp up to the top there with the custom helicopter I made. And this helicopter was kind of fun. It was a very different thing where I was trying to do a fully brick-built helicopter versus some of the formed pieces that often come with the helicopters today. I was trying to construct my own cockpit rather than use one of those sort of preset pieces. So it was a bit of an experiment, and I think it came out all right. But there's a couple of very cool elements to it. One is that the back opens up like that, so you can take someone on the stretcher straight out the back or straight into the back. Nice, quick, easy access for that patient. Not as easy to get down around the corner, but we're just going to ignore that. Sorry, another view of the back of the helicopter. Yeah, and this is the building from the back in its original narrower configuration, and then after I expanded it half, so we have windows now going into the lab. A little prettier. It does make it sometimes a little bit more interesting to figure out how it connects into a neighborhood. Now that it's this different L shape, which most buildings do not accommodate. But in theory, you can click a building in here and put a building here. You know, you can, if you find the right combination of buildings to put alongside it, you can make it wrap around a corner successfully. And so again, that narrow view before I built it out farther, and that might be it. Zooming down, so the ambulance, that's the original six stud wide ambulance. I'm trying to remember. Okay, cool. So I'm going to briefly go back to the album list just in case I have the ambulance and helicopter to show you those, because they are kind of nifty. So yes, all right, great. Here's the helicopter, which I thought came out well. So originally, as I mentioned, I built this. No, this is the wider version. Good, this is the final version of it. So you can see it has the cab here, and then it gets slightly wider for the back end. That was a very involved bit of engineering to get that to work that way. And so there's the double doors, but most Lego vehicles are on an even number. There are 4 studs wide, there's 6 studs wide, there are 8 studs wide. It's rare to see them. I don't know if there's any official that do it, but it's also more difficult to build them to be an odd number to have that set up, because almost every wheelbase or everything else is designed to work with an even number of studs. And so in this case, I made this be 7 studs wide across the back. And that's why these doors are inset, because doors are only 3 studs wide. So I had to like center them, these 6 things within a 7 stud wide back to be able to accommodate the doors and not have a gap between them. So I was able to do that with offsetting some different bricks and things. You can still fit a full stretcher in there. There it is with the roof off, pops right off, and the side doors open, so lots of different ways to enter and exit there. And as we go up, there's the cab with the driver. But the cab is still 6 studs wide, because that's how wide the windows almost all are. So I had to combine 7 in the back with 6 in the front and make it still be fully connected to each other. And that's what all this going on are, pieces that are kind of bridging the gap between where it's 7 and where it's 6. Connecting those together. So I was just very proud to be able to pull that off, because that's not an easy thing, and it's something that I'd really tried before until I did it with this. So there's the ambulance in every possible direction, but this is back when it was 6 studs wide. So you can see right here, no gap in those doors. They go straight to the edge because the whole thing is just 6 wide. But I didn't think that looked as authentic. I thought having that narrow whole body, same width as the front of it, doesn't look like a lot of ambulances I at least see around, which is why I went back and rebuilt it to be 7 studs wide at the back. Yeah, and that was, so. And this is another one I built, not to go through it, but I made a whole bunch of fire trucks, and so I also did an ambulance for that fire service to match those sets. And so just like I did with the one for the outpatient center, this is also a combination of 6 and 7 studs wide between the front and the back. So that was just kind of cool thrown in there. And just get back. You can also then briefly re-see that helicopter, and then you will be done being besieged with all of these details about my past creations. So this is the helicopter, and I think this is actually the final iteration of it. So what you saw on top of the building there was before I'd filled in these side windows and put in new front glass, which I thought looked better and more complete. I forgot this. I just never went back and retook the picture. I do think it looks better though. This is the actual final version of the helicopter that I ultimately ended up with, and is now in a box with this outpatient center in a storage unit 10 blocks away. Hey, welcome, Beckles. Great to have you here. Just wrapping up sharing my outpatient Lego center, and now walking through the ambulance and helicopter I built for that custom set. So there's the final version of the helicopter in front of the outpatient center we just walked through. And so just to show you that it has a couple of different features. So obviously you can still fit a pilot in there. It's totally workable, but not only does the back open up so you can take the stretcher in and out, the side doors slide out and slide back, which is also kind of a crazy bit of engineering to get it to do that while still being so small, to be able to slide forward and kind of click into the middle. So I was very proud. So there's with both doors open, and you can see how there's a sort of a lip coming around that at the top there, so it can kind of go out and come back, but not just fall off the helicopter. It is attached to it still. And there it is closed. And then the tail I just thought also looked pretty cool. I thought that looked very real-ish, how I have it kind of clipping around and having a little rod and pillar shape while also still having the solid part to attach all those things to. Yeah, there's the back open with the stretcher for quick and easy ingress and egress, and the rotors. And that's the prior version, and what you saw in the first set of pictures, which is before I'd refined the cab, really, which is I wasn't happy with. So I went back and did the version you saw a moment ago. And that is that. There is something I built in the past. So you can get, since I almost never have the ability to do something that involved and that takes that long here on the show, I wanted to share one of those more involved things so you can see what's possible, even if we don't necessarily get quite as far in what we do right here. Cool. Well, I'm going to briefly pause. I'm going to take another sip. I'm going to properly rub my nose because it keeps getting friggin' itchy, and I don't think you want to watch me constantly touching my nose. And then I'm going to pour a beer. We're going to start actually building. So I'll be right back. Stay. Okay. I think I'm better. Thank you. I'm so glad you chose to stay. I love that you said that like the moment I came back, from my perspective. I think there's a delay here, so it's probably not going to be the same, but that's awesome. I'm so glad you decided to stay. And thank you. All right. So if I'm going to build, I also want to be properly motivated. Hey, Jessica. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Awesome to have you here. You came just in time for the actual building portion and not just the me showing off and remembering and reminiscing the past portion. And for this, I'm going to have a beer that, and I do this like almost like I'm advertising it. We're obviously not sponsored by it. I just like sharing out what I drink, I guess. This is the Greater Good from Massachusetts, USA. It's a hazy New England IPA, GG vibes, good game vibes. And I think I got it because it had a rainbow on it. I don't know that it actually is a beer in any way associated with the LGBTQ community, but I choose to believe that it is. And I'm going to have it. All right. That's how you don't pour. But it does smell good, and it will be flavorful when it calms down a little bit. All right. So, what are we doing tonight? I'm continuing what I started the last time we did, and it's where I just started to finally get inside of this building that's been beside me forever, and that is my town hall. You can see a little picture of it right here. You can also see it far more directly right here. So this is the town hall that's been sitting on my kitchen table in my old apartment right next door, and then here in the office right after I moved over, and it's something that I built most of like maybe a year oh gosh, over a year ago. But I never finished it. And by finish it, I mean I never finished the interior. So I have a bunch of buildings that are works in progress, but I don't consider a building done until I've both done the exterior and interior of the building. And I think the challenge is I often lose a lot of my energy when it comes to the interior. So I'm going to subject you to some of that work now. I'm going to use you as motivation to try to finally close off some of these buildings I built. And this one is, I love it on the outside, and so I really want to see it come to fruition and be something I can consider a finished job. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to look at finishing off at least part of the ground floor. I have the pieces, I think, properly assembled to do that, where I started just a little bit of at the end of the last stream. And not only will I do that, but I'm going to show you all the things involved in doing it, like this. Hi there. I also got some new stuff. I went a little bit nuts on Prime Day, and I got different things. I mean, I've had a lot of gadgets forever, and it's a part of my professional life as well as for fun things like this, so I have kind of an excuse. But still, I'm not gonna lie. I know I go very nuts on gadgets. And so one of the things I did is that when I was building the last few times, I never liked how out of focus it seemed right here on this surface. And so I actually got a new camera that I think is a lot crisper and more in focus for this area. And I took the camera that used to be here and I popped it back over there. So, hi old camera. So that camera is up there looking down, and aside from just being kind of a fun, different random angle and making me feel very self-conscious, it also is a way to show you a little bit more of what I'm doing. So, because there's moments where I know in the past I've been going off screen, and now I have a way to still capture it as we do. So let's get into it and start building. To begin, I need to take off the roof of this sucker. So let's see how well this goes and how great it looks in this slightly intimidating camera angle, I'm realizing now. But away we go. Oh, and perhaps, a Lego brewery. Oh my gosh, Jessica. Oh my gosh. I have a Lego winery, or at least a wine shop. I have a bar. I have 2 bars, but those aren't breweries. Yes, that's gonna, yes. Thank you, Jessica. There will be a Lego brewery. Decided. I need to be fast for these, so it can be more impactful, but decided. That is a genius idea. Good job. Let's take off the roof. This is a little awkward, too. All right. Oof. The pillow fell down right underneath me, but here is the roof of the building. And this is kind of fun. As I pull that back up from underneath me. Because not only is it this one giant intact piece, and this is the inspiration for the building entirely. I built this whole building because I got all of these light green bricks, these slope pieces, and I thought that looks like a government roof, and that's why I built this entire building. That the sole origin of the entire structure stemmed from these pieces, getting all these pieces at once, and deciding I'm going to make use of them. I'm going to make a government building. Now I'm burping from the beer. The little copula does come off. Sadly, I couldn't quite figure out a solid way to have this actually be hollow and go through down into the building. But who knows? Maybe I'll reapproach it. For now, I thought the aesthetics from the outside were more important, so that's what I did. And then there's also the little clock in the front of the town hall. Is right there, or city hall. All right, I say city hall because there is an official Lego set that's the town hall, so I decided this is city hall. All right, let's slide this back. So now we need to get down because again we're doing the ground floor. We're finishing off the ground floor. And yes, I'm just pausing, trying to think of where I'm going to put all these pieces. So this is still all modular, right? When we talk about modular, this is kind of how it's modular. So you can see that I am taking out and pulling out these little bits. part by part, and they are designed to come apart that way. So you can, oh, I think this one has a broader view. You can see all still intact. It looks kind of broken, but this was designed to be slid out of it. So it's not like it's a wildly different thing. And this is where you can see the work still to be done, right? Empty office, empty hallway. I need to finish these suckers off. But I'm not gonna get to, well, we'll see if I get to the second floor. What I have set aside for are the pieces for the first floor. So I'm gonna just stop talking for a little bit, pull off the rest of the first floor, bring over one of the parts of the bottom floor, and we'll get to work. Couldn't find my chair. All right. We've landed. We have something to start building with. So what we have right here is one of the sides of the ground floor. So I've kind of already finished the middle of the ground floor. And we'll take a little journey here to see that. So down over here, sorry for the rough movement, but there's the ground floor. And so we have the stand for all of the council people. We have the staggered seats going up in sort of the auditorium there, a couple seats around the side. We have the front entrance hall and the front desk and stairs going upstairs. But what we're going to build right now is one of the sides of the building. So let's get down into that. Let's get down into build mode. Put this one back up. You can see my arm. Okay. Quick question, just because I'm curious. Not like I'm intended to be talking while I'm way over there. But could you still hear me at least? I don't intend to make that practice of that. I'm just kind of curious if you could hear me as I was leaning back and forth over there. You can let me know if you feel like it in the chat. All right, so down here on the ground floor, right, we have the side of the building here, and just like I was showing those other pieces, there's a lot that is unfinished in here. And so this is where I want to wrap up. I do have a finished bathroom, and there's two all gender bathrooms on one on each side of the building, coming off of the main hall, the main chamber. But these areas on the side were a little bit more nebulous. Just what were they going to be? And so what I landed on, and what we talked about last week, is that one side is going to be the snack side, refreshments for those who are attending the town hall meeting. Get some donuts, get some water, maybe some cans of soda, if you're lucky and not everyone's taking them all. And the other side is going to be where there'll be some cameras, where some press can hang out, or some CCTV cameras they can tap into, as well as do a little maybe interview with a town councilman on the side. So that's what I'm going to finish off here. This side is going to be the camera side, other side is the snack side, and we are going to do both of them tonight. All right. So I have some pieces over here on the side to fill this out, and so I'll probably go in and out, but I'm going to just be swinging some back and forth over here. I'm going to transplant them here, and then we'll get to building. Alright, so one of the first little things going on here are some adornments for the walls. This was, this honestly sometimes is a little tough for me because I generally just build on the fly. I don't plan in advance, I just kind of go. And so prepping for these shows has been a little bit harder than I expected because as was rightly pointed out to me by Ashley right here in the chat, if I'm going to be on stream, I should know what the heck I'm going to be putting together. You probably don't want to watch the top of my head while I dig around in a bucket for 4 hours trying to find one little piece to do whatever just popped in my head at the moment. So I did spend part of the afternoon today doing a little, all right, what actually is going to go here? What do I want to put there? Can I find the pieces for it to achieve that and have them set aside in advance? And so honestly, there's a little bit of anxiety, like how quickly will this go? Will I be able to overfill or underfill the time with what I've assembled? Hopefully, coming in at halfway through the show here, this is going to be fine. This will pan out well. But we're going to find out together how that's going to go. So for this, I have a couple sets of things here. One was a random little poster, and I just thought this was kind of cute. This is something a friend of mine makes. He does custom printed Lego pieces, and so he has a little Rosie the Riveter, but it's a Lego minifigure, and says we can do it. Sorry, it's kind of out of focus. I don't know if you can really. I don't know how well it's gonna make it out. It doesn't seem like it's adjusting. So let's try it up here. Nope, it's not gonna do it. I guess just believe me that that's what that is. But I'm gonna put this little guy on, or girl rather, on the wall. So I don't know if you can make it out here, but right beside the door to the bathroom there. I know the lighting's hard, but there's a little stud right there on the wall that was sticking out, and that's actually to hold the top of the toilet basin in place. That's what that's there for. So I just figured I could stick something on the other side, and I'm going to stick this, because I figured it looks like kind of like a historical thing you'd find in an old building. They have some memorabilia that's accumulated in the building over the years. And so this authentic poster from back during World War II is going up here in one of the alcoves off of the main debate floor. Well, not the easiest to attach here. And sorry, I know it's kind of not in frame for you. But frankly, my hand's going to be in the way anyway, so I don't know what quite works, but aha! There. Poster on wall. Boom. Now, next bit, I didn't quite know what I was doing when I made this, but I had these little adornments on the wall. And it's sort of like there's a little wood baseboard underneath one of these windows, and it kind of extends up. And I didn't necessarily know what I was doing with that. But I just figured it's going to give me a nice little wooden built-in feature, a little adornment there. And so that's what these pieces all here for, to try to fill in what would go on there. So we're going to do, at the bottom of this, we'll pop in a smooth tile. Now, an interesting thing with this is how far apart they're spaced. They weren't necessarily, like I couldn't do one single plate that went across the places that stick at the bottom and where it is at the top. Because of the position of it, it's just slightly off of being something a single piece could bridge the gap of. It's a little bit too narrow or too wide, depending on how you look at it, to actually have anything clipped on here actually touch this part down here. So I have to kind of jury rig something to fill that gap and make it look like it's one piece, even though it's going to technically be separated, physically separated from each other. So I'm adding in these little angled wedge pieces, just because I thought it would look kind of neat. So do that. Sorry, I keep putting things in the wrong place. There you go. Now you can see the back of my hand. Right, so put that little piece in there. So now that little smooth bit is there, and I'm gonna combine these into two little stanchions. I don't know what these are. The top of this thing that will fit together. So to make that happen, I put these little pieces together. Put these little tiny studs here on the side. And so I have this little archway now with these little smooth pieces here and here. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put them on here. I'm going to put it on the top and the bottom. And I think it's going to end up looking kind of like a little wooden column with a wood or stone, rather, casements, tops and bottoms to it. So I think that would be neat. We'll see if it's neat. I hope it's neat. So as I put this on here, How y'all doing? How's it been? It has been a few weeks. Extremely eventful weeks for me. Before I can start babbling on about that, how about for all of you? Has anything particularly huge or interesting or big happened for you in recent weeks? While you watch me assemble extremely tiny and somewhat painful pieces together. Do. Give me a second. And of course, no worries if there isn't anything. All right. Well, for me, the big thing and big news, which you might have already seen if you follow me on Instagram, or if I know you and you've heard these stories 9,000 times in person, I came out to my mom finally. I've been out to my dad. My parents are together. I hadn't meant to tell them separately. It just ended up happening. But yeah, I finally came out to my mom and then went back to see my parents over the 4th of July weekend in person, which is the first time I'd also seen them in a year and a half. And it went okay. I can't claim that was perfect. There's still definitely some distance to go and some things to learn and thoughts to share. But I think it went about as well as I could realistically expect. And so I'm cautiously optimistic for the future. And if nothing else, it's great to have that behind me and to have that out there in the world and not something that I'm hiding or lying by omission about. So I was grateful to have that milestone passed. So that's been my bit of big news in recent weeks. Serious moment passed. Now these things are assembled. We have these little pieces, and so I'll go up to this little thing sticking through the building here. And again, this is something being done for something that's on the exterior. These panels need to be held in place by something, and they're being held in place with the piece that's on the other side of this. But I decided to dual purpose it and make a feature inside about it. So I click that on there, and now when you look at it, they almost touch. It kind of looks like it's like one piece going up there. So I think it kind of works. Kind of looks interesting. Little built-in something or other there on the wall. And there you go. So there, wall done. I will now bring over some more pieces to do more of the base of this. This is going fast. I might run out, but that's okay. Alright, so what I'm looking to do right now is start to do some of the floor. I had this kind of parquet effect in the lobby of the building, so I'm kind of continuing it and then doing a slightly different design on the side of this. I already put in some of the pieces because it's very hard to reach and get down in there, but you can see those little dark spots down in there. Actually, I wonder... Alexa, turn on Lego light. Alright, I don't know how this will work with the lighting on me, but it might at least help for lighting down here. Oh yeah, that's better. That's much better. Alright. Find some kind of middle ground between not lighting me up like a ghost and you being able to see a little better. We'll try this out. Okay, so here's the inside. Oh, you just had your birthday. That's a huge new thing. Congratulations, that's awesome. Hey, hi there. So glad to have you here. Alexa, do you have a Lego light? Did that happen, Jessica? Your Lego light turned on? That's awesome. And happy birthday, Pickles. Alright, so we're going to build in some of the floor in this little alcove here off of the main town hall, city hall. This is a risky, because these tile pieces can be very difficult to get it back up. You put them in the wrong place, and because I already built the building, it's difficult to reach in there and put them. And that's entirely my fault, and it's because I don't plan ahead, so I build things on the fly, and then afterwards go in and do the inside. The smart way would be to know this, build it before I built the walls. Super easy that way. Not how I do things. I don't say that as like a declaration of doing it better. I do it in recognition that I could do it better, but that's more work than I want to do. All right. And frankly, I also, since I build along the way, I often don't know what I'm going to do until I do it. So trying to plan that ahead is not really a practical consideration. Oh. Right, that one started to go awry. And sorry, I know this isn't as easy for you to see, but hopefully I'll be able to show it at least frequently enough that you can follow what's happening. Right now I'm trying to get these little floor pieces in place, and they are not easy to always get in. Ooh, there we go. Sorry, did I accidentally flick you off? And so that little 1 square of parquet matches the hallway or the passageway that led in here. So that's like a nice little continuation of that design. And then you just get to the rest of the room, which will have a slightly different one because it's a different size shaped space. All right, cool. And these are extra since I already put some pieces in here, so I'm gonna get these out of the way. All right, now I'm gonna bring over, some more pieces. See, I went off screen already. There we go. Being a little bit more deliberate moving these pieces over because I'm trying to remember how they're going to be arranged on the floor so I don't accidentally forget and mess it up. And I messed it up. That's okay. We're going to start with what I've moved over so far, and hopefully I'll remember them. All right. This goes back here. There we go. I'm glad you think my hands are pretty. Look at what Lego building does to the nails. Look at that. Destroyed. I mean, worth it, but still. I guess if I had gels, then that would be better. I don't know. What do you think, Ashley? When you had gels, would that have stood up to this this abuse? All right, this is not going in there. Oh, jeez. All right. Not the easiest. There we go. All right. A single piece in. How did the rest of this work? Great, okay. Maybe this will take long enough because I will forget how to do this all. Okay, that's good to know. That's good. Another incentive to future explore gels. So I already just put some pieces underneath the windows because those were not going to be easy to reach down in there. Though I did not do that on the other side, so that'll be fun. And you can see some of these pieces have little studs on them, so you'll see why in a minute when we get to putting in the different things for the camera area. Cool. As you can see, I kind of tried to shake up the pattern for the floor over on the side here versus what I had done, the squares I had done into the center hall and out into the front lobby that's over there. Go get some more. All right, so finish off the floor here and then start actually furnishing the thing. There's the word. Nope, no, not that piece, not that piece. Come back. Because there. Right. Okay. I'm sorry, and around the corner here, filling in the back of this floor. Oh no, that one's gonna go. Shoot. Yes, I think I did that wrong. Don't be stuck, don't be stuck. Don't be stuck. Oh, that got more stuck. Right one. Hey, everything flies apart as I rebuild it. Okay, so now floor done. Right, nice little pattern, and then you can see a couple places with little studs there. So I'm gonna be attaching things to that, make that work out. And these particular bits were the top of the railings there that were right in here. Boom. And all of these things now are the cameras. So like I said, this is the side for the in-house cameras and the press to go and hang out. And so we're gonna set up a couple cameras facing in a couple different directions for different reasons. Now we'll show you all those. Put on the little red recording lights. Right. Low cameras, one high camera, all right, and my thinking is we'll have camera 1, and this has, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was off frame. That's why I should always look up, my bad. We have camera 1, I just said welcome to the chat room. Hopefully I didn't depart or anything. Well, I guess let me know if I'm disappearing or something. So these little studs in here is where I'm going to start connecting these cameras to. I'm going to put them on top of that. And so I was going to have one camera face, or two cameras face the council people with a long and close shot. So we have camera 2. So 1 and 2 are for that purpose, and there's one slightly lower than the other, so they can kind of overlap there. We have camera 3 that's gonna view the people in the chamber. So get a crowd reaction shot. See what attendance is like at the meeting. So I have another camera pointing back into the room. Can make that out there. And then for camera 4, that is a camera that's going to be focused on a little interview area. So if someone reporter wants to talk to a council person or the mayor or something, that's going to go right facing inwards, pointed at 2 chairs that we are now going to go. Alright, that doesn't quite work. I think I had these out of order. Maybe that needs to be lower. I think that needs to be lower. These are the discoveries you make along the way, and why I could never adequately plan ahead to do this stuff. Put these cameras back in, and I'm going to grab some pieces, and we're going to figure out how to make this slightly shorter. Alright. We have a bin of rods of various sizes. Let's see if we have a shorter black one to keep the colors consistent. Yeah, that's shorter. Let's try this out. Do. The sounds are important as you build. I think I said this before, but I want to re-emphasize it. Yeah, there we go. All right. So we have camera 4 down low, going to be pointing at an interview area, and then cameras 1, 2, and 3 focus on the councilpeople and the crowds. There's kind of a view. Sorry, I know it's at times difficult to see this, so hopefully you're making this out. But there's all the cameras over here in the camera zone, and those last 2 studs are where I'm going to put the little interview area. A couple little chairs I'm going to construct. So let's go grab them. I don't know if you could hear those fall all over the floor, but that was a banner moment. Thankfully, I think I picked them all up. Alright, so all these little angled pieces here, I'm going to turn into a couple of little slightly nicer armchairs versus the wood chairs that are everywhere else here. Now I was thinking that these are like metal chairs with black leather, so hence having the gray and the black. But, boom, there's a little stuffed metal with black leather chair. Put the back on and the arms on. Alright, so let's see if these will actually fit in where I was hoping to put them. Always a test. It's a little tighter or a little closer angled than I had pictured. Yeah, these chairs are just like straight up facing each other versus being more facing out towards the camera. But you know what? We're gonna go with it. So there, camera 4, point at the 2 chairs where you can have a one-on-one interview between the reporter and whoever they want to talk to. Member of the crowd, council person, who knows, city official. There you go. In any event, we have one finished alcove for the town hall. This is half of the remaining portions of the ground floor, 1/4 of the total ground floor that needed to be finished. Done. Mission half accomplished. It took half an hour roughly. We have half an hour left. Let's finish this sucker off. With a little check. Everyone doing okay? I hope. I hope. I hope. Someone interesting. Let me know. Recommendations always welcome. If I can do anything different or better or more interesting for you as I go along. Like not keep pulling things different heights above the camera to make it blurry and dizzy for you. I'm going to move this to the side, go grab another piece, grab some more parts, and we'll keep building. Thank you. Okie dokie. So this side, as previously mentioned, is the food side, the snack side. And so that is what we are going to build out over here. Once again, doing the little things on the walls, the little, I don't know, cornices, stands, towers, built-ins, somethings on the side. Do the floor and do the furniture to hold all of our snacks. Like on the other side where I had the Rosie the Riveter equivalent Lego poster, I also have an I Want You for the U.S. Army recruitment poster, again with a Lego Uncle Sam pointing forward. So that was just kind of cute. And sorry again that you can't quite see it as well. It's above the light. Oh wow, that kind of actually briefly for a hot second focused on it. So hope you got that. So I'm going to attach this, build those built-ins, and then work on the floor as we go through this all. Not the easiest to reach or do. Oh. All right. Cool. Poster in place next to the other bathroom door. Smooth and angled bits to the bottom here. Sorry, I know that's not really visible to you, but I guess this side will be. Again, if you are capable of planning in advance, do that, because it's way easier to build the interior when it's not after the fact. All right. Well, as I mentioned, this will finish off the bottom floor. I do have to do the top floor still. The mayor's office, and the little reception area outside the mayor's office, hallways, the upper story of the gallery. Mish! Awesome. Thank you for the bets. And thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure. It's become a delightful thing to know that you come in and usually with bits. But of course, just love having you here, period. It's always wonderful. So thank you so much for stopping by, and great to see you here. And definitely, as ever, thank you for being willing to do that and throw some bits our way. I hope you're doing well. You're getting to see the end of the little building spree here as we finish out the bottom floor, the first floor of my city hall. We did the reporter alcove with cameras and things on the other side just a moment ago, and now we're doing the snacks alcove on the other side of the auditorium slash town hall chamber. I don't know, whatever you call that. Hey Midvani, that's okay. Thank you for watching. That's the most important thing, and so awesome to have you here. Appreciate that, and great to see you. All right. So, and sorry, I know I'm quiet during these contemplative building moments, but now we can finish off the wall here and move on to the floor and then the furnishings. We'll be done with the first floor. For that second floor, like I said, I have planned to do a mayor's office right off the balcony that's up front and the upper level of the chamber. I did leave room for 2 small offices, and I don't know what goes in them. What would go in the 2 offices? Like, I could be like, sure, a councilman's office or the deputy mayor or something else, but it could be a clerk's office, a county clerk or something. I don't know. So I'm very open to ideas and thoughts. If you have any thoughts on what the 2 offices on the top floor of the town hall, the city hall, should be. So feel free to let me know what you want that to be, and I will feel free to listen and or ignore that thought. And while you ponder that, I will squish in these very difficult to squish in floor pieces. Like, my nails were destroyed slightly before this, just setting up, but they are completely wrecked. I'm gonna have to like trim down and use the file like crazy on these suckers. I can feel it. They're rough. I do love it, but it is not friendly to a non-gel manicure. Alright. Hey. I think I'm especially conscious during these moments of amazement at your presence and patience watching me do this. trying to watch me silently struggle to place these pieces in place. Thank you for being willing to bear with and bear witness. All right. Well, the bathroom entrance is much more accessible now than it was only moments ago. Sorry, I didn't realize how far forward I pulled that. Goodness. Boom. Little entryway, the continuation of the parquet floor. Done. Now for the bulk of the room. And then we embark on the furnishings and wrapping this sucker up. Right. These little pieces are hard to get in there. So even though this is a brick removal tool, I do sometimes find it handy to also get pieces into place. I have 80 bajillion orange ones, so I thought I would use this aquamarine blue one as my construction one, because there's only a few of these that I have. I'm going to pause and get the other side because I'm really hoping I'm doing this right. If I'm getting it wrong, these are impossible to get out. Alright, here's the mirror image. The other side, and... Okay, it is dark brown at the end, so I did the right color there. And then dark brown next to it. Okay, okay. Whew. Still okay. Still okay. No, no, don't stick. All right. Not easy to get these little suckers in there, these awkward places. Because I have these windowsills coming in so close to the bottom. Alright. In place. Right. Right. Oh, hold on. I'm pausing because I know I have a water fountain put in here and I'm not quite sure where it should go. I know I do. Alright. Goodness. Now, well, that's easy. No, wish I had known I could do that a while ago. Alright. That's easy enough. Not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. Alright. Huh. Cool. Sorry, I went off to the side. You wish I had my patience. I can't believe your patience, but I'm glad it's satisfying. That's grateful to hear that. Relieved to hear that. Oh. Sorry, just had a thought on how better to place something. Alright, tan back there, tan up here. There we go. Extra. Boom. 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 Other side of the floor done. Now once again, like the other side, you can see a bunch of places where there are studs, and so that's where I intend to attach things. And we will find out if I guess correctly on where those things go. But I'm going to go get those, and then we will finish it off. All right. All right. So yeah, nail totally just like broke right off there, straight shear right across. Oh well. Oh well. Keeps it interesting. Okie dokie. So, where we left things last time, which you might recall, retro office chair. I thought about getting like gamer chairs. Not like I don't, but this was actually a birthday present a couple years ago. Yeah, it was. I like it. It's very comfy. The leather's a little bit worn down, and I think it's not real leather from the way it's breaking down. So it might be time to upgrade a little bit, but for the moment, it's holding together. So and it is very comfortable. Yeah, like I hear you on like there are a lot of game chairs like they can look cool, but I want to see one in person. I want to get a sense of what it actually feels like. But I feel like even then I would probably do like all black leather or something that was still had an area that I thought would also work in a professional setting. I thought about things like Herman Miller or other like really fancy chairs, but I don't know if I want to invest in those. That's another thought. But where we left off, if you may recall, is we had at the end of the last, and where it left off, I mean the last stream, we left off creating some donuts. There's a little brick and donuts lid, and then an open box with some donuts showing up in there, as well as a crispy tile donut, and open and closed box, and then a couple cans of of cola or soda. This is Brick-a-Cola cans there, little lids. And so that's what I'm going to assemble on our little snack table. Now, the table itself, I got the little simplistic sides here, but I also have a nice shiny black surface for it, which we will attach the pieces to. So that is what we will do right now. Sorry. All right. And so because I like the table to appear smooth, I continue to use these tiles with the studs in them. These are simplistic ones that have them centered. There's another set that has it slightly narrower while still being a jumper tile, while still having it offset from where the two studs normally would be. So it's kind of fun. It allows you to give an appearance of a smooth surface while still attaching something to it, so you can keep everything in place. And so I have this very eclectic series of bumps and studs. Sorry, it's so out of focus. I need to figure out the right place for that. There we go. But a little collection there to put things on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these at slight angles to each other. Yeah, I'll do those right next to each other. These ones may be a little bit messier. I don't know if I can. I might not be able to. I forgot. These are going to touch each other, so they might not be able to go any sloppier. I like to kind of mix up a little bit just because it feels a little bit more realistic to have them that way. I'll assemble the the cans. And I had these 2 cans that are printed that I put in front. And then I just found a bunch of other red pieces and gray tile tops to kind of fill in the background, since I didn't have any more printed cans. So, pop that back there. Got hidden away. But there's our overloaded refreshment table. Whoever came to the town hall, you can come in, you can get your donuts, you can get your can of soda, and then head back to the town summit on obesity. So there's that little connection there. All right, so step 1, snack table in place. Now you do need to have a healthy option, so I also am going to add a little water cooler to this. First I'll put that railing back in. Separate off the seats from there. You still have to enter through the proper entrance. These chairs are right in front of this gallery over the town hall. So these pieces are how I was going to assemble a little water cooler rather. So we got the little tank. It's upside down to fill the water, and the rest of this got a little bit complicated because I wanted to have a round base to it, and this little rod to kind of hold things in place. But because there's that rod down there, like it almost had to be circular pieces with a hole in the middle to slide up over this and be able to fit everything into it. Thankfully, there's this tile which has a stud in the middle, but it also has a hole in the middle, so I can slide that through. That can go up there, and so it can appear nice and smooth from the top, which I do like the effect of that. But underneath of that, figuring out what to do next was my challenge, because I wanted to have spigots and all kinds of other things, and I wasn't sure if it was going to fit around this middle rod. And I was kind of surprised. These round pieces seem to fit just perfectly fine right next to that rod, and so I was able to have cold and hot water taps on the cooler here, side by side, without again interfering with that bottom. We have a black cylinder to put on this side here to kind of fill in like a solid back to it. And on this side, instead of doing another cylinder, what I was thinking was taking this little rod that sticks out from the side with having a stud on top, adding these other circular little tiles on top of it. And if you remember from past sessions here, 3 plates add up to 1 brick. So the height of this is the same as all of these 3 pieces that are already connected. And so I can now attach that on the side. And it's there, it's kind of solid, but I also have this little rod sticking out to the side, which I can use, which you'll see how I'll use in a moment. And to hold it all together, I'm going to put these little circular pieces underneath that again have a hole in the middle so it can go around that rod and be connected together. I already attached these 2 together, so we're going to push that up there. Add on, I think, 2 more to get the height I want. Cool, and we have the base of our little water tower with spigots built into it. So that's kind of nifty. And then on the side here, I have this little, I don't know if you can make it out, a little clip there, so I can clip that onto that vertical rod. And I can take these little white pieces, which also have a hole down the middle, slide them onto the rod. I attach 4 of these together, and now it's a stack of cups attached to the water tower. So I was very proud of how this came together. I just figured this out right before the show, and I thought it looked pretty nifty. So there's my little water cooler for the healthy option alongside the soda and the donuts. And I'll pop that in there. And boom, our refreshment stand off the town hall is done. So these 2 wings of the building, I guess they could just go together. You could just have a little really super tiny building where you just walk back and forth between the 2 bathrooms and the press and eating side with no entrances or exits. But we're not going to do that. These are the 2 wings of my town hall. So I'm going to reassemble them. You can see the whole I'll walk over the whole first floor in toto, and then we'll wrap it up because we're almost down at time. So first, let's go put these back on. Go even wider. Now, since I'm too lazy to bring that building over here, I'm just going to walk over there with my mobile view camera. So I'll show you over it, but I won't really be able to narrate because I think I'm going to be too far from the mic. So come along with me, and I'll be back, even though you're with me. Confusing mix. And apologies in advance for any motion trouble issues. All right, folks. I think that's the whole kit and caboodle. You hung in. You put up with a lot, including how apparently to learn how to use Flickr. But I think we got to see a couple things. I feel good about what I got to share and show off, both from the past and on this excellent progress for the present. Because finally, by George, this building will be done, and we are halfway there. Got one whole floor done. That's huge for me, at least, and I hope it was fun for you. I'm gonna sign off now. We are nearly at midnight, and like I said, I have a house guest. She probably wants to go to sleep, and this is where the inflatable bed goes, so I will clear out for her and give her space. But I am so glad I got to spend this time with you. As ever, you are wonderful and amazing, and I very much appreciate the time you're willing to spend here and hanging out and checking out what we do here. I hope you will stay tuned, not just to the Builder's Block and not just to me on the Builder's Block, but to so many other amazing things here on the Transverse Network. We'll have Jeannie and her amazing show talking about some more adult topics, so it's always fun and fascinating. I highly recommend it, as well as Queer and Teen Kitchen, the Transgender Show, Valkyries on Friday. So many great things to come. And before you come back to next Wednesday, another session of Builder's Block with a different creator. And I hope you will make it back for it. Until then, I have been Jess. You have been awesome. This has been the Builder's Block. Go out there and get creating. Night all. I have to remember how to stop now.